Hey everyone, today I'm going to discuss calorie cycling or calorie shifting and basically go through why it's important to cycle your calories throughout a weekly or a monthly basis. So it's a new technique that they've started to research in the last decade. So far the research has been really impressive and I've wrote about it a few times. So basically it involves, rather than say starting a diet on day one and then just dieting for 30, 60 or 90 days, what you'll actually do is you'll start your diet, but then you'll plan in strategic kind of high calorie refeeds or high calorie days. These have a ton of benefits, which I'm going to get onto in a minute, but basically there's lots of different methods and depending which method you pick kind of depends on your own personal preference, lifestyle, and also how long your diet's going to be. So one of the smaller kind of periods would be a weekly cycle. So you do a 5-day diet and a 2-day refeed. And then a slightly longer version that they've also researched is an 11-day diet and a 3-day refeed. And then I've also experimented quite a lot with more kind of chronic diet and refeeds. So for that you might do say a 3 or maybe even a 4-week diet and then maybe a 5 or a 1-week refeed. So lots of different methods you can try and see which works best for you. But basically the reason you're going to do this is the current research in dieting. It's been shown the Biggest Loser kind of made this mainstream in 2016, showing that when you diet your metabolism really kind of plummets. So your metabolism is how many calories you burn per day, and along with that your activity levels and the calories you burn during your activity also decreases. So say you did an hour on a treadmill or an hour of weight training, and normally you burn 800 calories for that hour, for example. When you're actually dieting, your body will become more efficient because your body doesn't know you want to lose fat. Your body's trying to survive and become as an efficient machine as possible. So what it'll actually do is it'll reduce the calories you burn at the same intensity. So they've studied this like 30 minutes on a treadmill, and they've shown that the actual exact same speed, exact same person, but when they're dieting they might burn 20-30% less calories. So far you've got just a general metabolism downregulation, so every day performing exactly the same activities and daily patterns you'll burn less calories, and on top of that when you go to the gym you'll almost also burn less calories. So this is why for some people they'll add in more and more exercise when they can't lose weight and they're still not losing weight efficiently, and part of this is because the body is just trying to match that. So you might burn more calories in the session, but your body will burn less calories later on in the day. So those two, in terms of calorie expenditure, are obviously key, because ultimately energy in versus energy out is still a kind of main factor in weight loss. In addition to these two adaptations in terms of your metabolism, a lot of your key hormones will also crash or downregulate. So for men and women, testosterone, but obviously particularly men, this is important. One study that I often cite, they basically took a group of guys and put them on a US Rangers course. So they were training every day, they were having limited sleep and in a calorie deficit. And even though that sounds extreme, that's pretty much exactly what anyone dieting will do. They'll exercise more, they probably won't sleep as well because they're dieting and have less food, and they'll obviously eat less food and be on less calories. And in this study, the men, just in 2 weeks, their testosterone levels went from a healthy range, so they were quite high. So the range for testosterone can be, say, 8 is deficient and 30 is really high. Most people sit between 15 and 20, 25. So these guys average 21 for their testosterone levels. And just in a couple of weeks of doing this, their testosterone plummeted to about 7, so below the deficiency line, which, if you know anything about testosterone, is linked to kind of pretty much every disease out there. It'll make it harder for you to gain muscle, gain strength, perform better, and lose fat. Okay, so it's really serious for both men and women. Along with testosterone, you've got other increases in two key hormones really. So cortisol, which is your stress hormone, And when cortisol is chronically elevated, you'll basically have a hard time mobilizing and burning fat, you'll be fatigued, you'll struggle to add muscle, recover from the gym session, struggle to sleep, so a big serious issue in dieting, especially contest prep. Along with that, ghrelin will tend to change and leptin. So ghrelin and leptin are your kind of hunger hormones. So leptin being the good one, ghrelin being the bad one. So ghrelin will go up as well. And ghrelin is the key hunger hormone, because as ghrelin goes up, basically your hunger will go up. And as ghrelin increases, it will basically signal your brain to continually eat. So normally when ghrelin and leptin are working as they should, they'll tell your brain when to stop eating, when you're full up, when you don't need more food, when to put the fork down. But if you've ever done a diet before and then had a cheat meal or a cheat day or finished a contest prep and had a refeed or a cheat weekend, it's very, very easy to eat, say 3, 4, 5, even 6,000 calories. And people will eat till, you know, they're in pain almost, and they'll kind of binge. And the reason they can do this is obviously psychologically they've deprived themselves, but in addition, ghrelin is skyrocketed and leptin's decreased. So both signals that we want to be in line have like gone to the other end of the scale. So ghrelin's going to keep telling you to eat, even when you're full up, even when you've had 2,000 calories, it'll tell you to eat. Whereas leptin isn't functioning and it's low, so it's not going to tell your brain when to stop, because leptin basically puts the brake on your food intake. So it'll tell you when you're full up, tell you when to mobilize fat, etc. So far we've got changes in our calorie expenditure, how many calories we burn during exercise, testosterone, cortisol, and leptin and ghrelin. So as you can see, these are all factors that kind of join together and make it really, really hard to lose weight, to maintain muscle, and ultimately everything comes together here to make it hard to succeed in the long term. And that's probably the most important aspect of calorie cycling, and also the most important aspect of any program. You know, everyone can any program, if it puts you in a calorie deficit, makes you limit food intake and exercise, it can make you lose weight. That's not difficult to do. There's hundreds of programs out there that almost suck, but they still work because they do those 3 key principles. However, when we try and maintain weight, the statistics are really grim. So most people will regain the weight over 5 years. And one study actually found that within a year, 1/3 of the participants regained the weight. Within 5 years, over 2/3 had regained all the weight. And some of those individuals had even regained more than when they first ever started dieting. So they went in that vicious yo-yo cycle, lost the weight, regained it, lost the weight, rebounded, regained it. And a big cause for this is everything's kind of crashed and gone to hell almost. So you burn less calories, so it's harder to maintain that new weight. Your hunger hormones are all off, so you want to eat more naturally because ghrelin's higher, leptin's not working, leptin's lower, so it won't be able to signal your brain when you're full and when to burn and metabolize fat for energy. And then obviously hormones as well, cortisol may be elevated, making it really hard to recover, grow muscle, improve performance, burn fat, and along with cortisol, testosterone, especially if you're a guy, you could be deficient by this time, okay? So right now, if you're deficient, you're going to have a harder time gaining any muscle, you're going to be weaker, you're not going to mobilize nutrients as well. So lots of issues that combine and make calorie cycling really important. So by calorie cycling, ultimately they don't reverse, but what they'll do is slow down a lot of these adaptations. So if you imagine we start the diet here and finish the diet here, we've just got a kind of steady decline in all your key hormones and metabolism. And what calorie cycling will basically do is it will spike them up at whenever you have that refeed or that high calorie period. So if you look at the start and the end, basically the decline, if you just do a normal diet, it will be much more severe, whereas calorie cycling will help kind of balance it out and make those changes not so severe or drastic, which, you know, as you can see, are extremely important. Along with obviously protecting all your hormones, helping you burn more fat, you can actually lose more weight by adding in higher calorie days. And whenever I say that, so I have it in my program, my 90-day bikini challenge, and everyone kind of says, oh, I'm scared of adding in more calories when I'm dieting. Even clients that I work one-to-one with will be losing loads of weight, everything will be going well, and I'll say, right, we're going to do a 4-day or a 7-day refeed now, and people kind of look at me puzzled like, why? And hopefully now you understand why. And in the studies, when they've done this, despite eating more, when you look at the total weight loss, say over a 3, a 6, a 10-week period, however long your diet is, the people having the refeeds actually lost more weight still. And why is that? Well, obviously your metabolism's getting protected, your metabolism's going to be higher, all your hormones are going to be higher. So even though you're having a few days off to refeed, when you're on those deficits, the deficit will be larger because your energy expenditure is higher. So when you do kind of all the maths, it can be explained via that mechanism, and all the hormones, which are obviously linked to how much food you eat, how easy you find the diet, how likely you are to have a cheat meal, how likely you are to overeat, and hormones such as testosterone play an important role still, and cortisol, in energy metabolism. So burning carbs, fats, utilizing carbs, fat, insulin sensitivity is all linked to hormone levels as well. So if that's improved, that can help. So there's lots of benefits and reasons why you do this. And ultimately, one of the biggest benefits is you get to eat more food, you get days off in your diet. So if you told me now, or even your friends, oh, I've got a diet for 90 days, can't eat anything bad, have to be hungry, weak, fatigued, that's not kind of a good mindset to have, and that makes it hard psychologically for a lot of people to achieve and maintain. Whereas if I said to you, right, we're doing a 90-day diet, but we're going to forget about the 90 days, and all we're actually going to do is lots of 2-week diets, and within those 2 weeks, you just got to do an 11-day diet, and then a 3 or a 4-day refeed where you can eat more food and enjoy yourself to a sense. That's a lot easier for most people to take in and manage and stick to, and ultimately dietary adherence and how consistent you are with your diet will determine your long-term success. So you could be on the best diet in the world, or an advanced diet, or transformation plan, and if you can't maintain it or stick to it in the long term, then it's going to actually be less optimal and work. It's going to be actually worse for you than a diet that's kind of average, but you enjoy and you stick to. So that's another reason, if you've seen the 90-day transformation, that I actually program in bad food, which sounds, again, stupid, but the idea here is that people are getting that balanced lifestyle, so they're learning that the rest of the 90 days or the rest of their life they've not got to eat chicken and broccoli, and they can learn to build a sustainable lifestyle that when they've lost the weight, finish the 90-day challenge, they keep it off because they've got that balance between health, fat loss, performance, looking good, and having a lifestyle balance. Because we're not all elite athletes, we don't, a lot of elite athletes outside of bodybuilding still eat a lot of bad food. So we don't need to kind of go from 0 to 100 and try and eliminate all foods, because more often than not, that doesn't work. So in summary, hopefully you understand now that calorie cycling, why it's important, why you might use it, how it's going to help you lose more weight, even though you're eating more food on a regular basis, you're having refeeds, and you're going to create a lifestyle you enjoy. In addition to this video, there's an article on the website which you can look at some example protocols, you can see some graphs and studies that I've talked about today, and that'll just tell you more about calorie cycling and metabolic adaptations to diets. Hope you enjoyed the video, see you soon.